WhatsApp platform, and it is also an avenue to be more professional, to get professional information than the chats that we do have on our WhatsApp platform. And I also stated that time is more money, in this age. So we already have a schedule for an hour, and despite the one or two discordances we've had, would still manage our time. So once again, I welcome everybody to today's webinar. It's a pleasure to have you all. I hope that you are also enjoying the innovation that VetConnect has brought to the professional body. If you aren't, then you're missing a lot. Please try to sign up on VetConnect. Always access first through the website so you can have, an idea of what you are in to enjoy. Then go further downloading the app so you can maximize that knowledge that you already have about the software. So probably after we'll be able to still do one or more introduction, but for now, while our speaker is being prepped to come up now, please just type in your name, your location, your email address in the chat box, so we can have a grasp of the attendance for today. I would briefly introduce our speaker. He's an harried veterinarian. I've heard so much about him even before we were opportune to reach out to him for this webinar. Dr. Ben David Akuvi. I hope I pronounced it rightly. He's a veterinarian. He's a veterinarian of about 9 years post induction now. He's a single fine handsome man, and he's currently the senior farm veterinarian at Ikun Dairy Farm in Ekiti State. He has a vast experience in veterinary practice, cutting across companion dairy production and value chain. One thing I would also want to add is that VetConnect would not bring somebody who do not have sound and modern. We are a veterinary tech organization, so we prioritize having, what is happening, what is sustainable, what we can relate to currently, and Dr. Ben has filled all those spaces, and we are going to have a short time today. So about it's 4:21. I will just bring him up board now while he shares his vast knowledge about sustainable and profitable dairy farming. Dr. Ben.
All right. Dr. Abiodun, thank you very much. I really appreciate your introduction. You really, in fact, I was beginning to think about which professor you're introducing like that, but unfortunately, sometimes we do not understand, realize how much and how far we've come. We thank God for everything. Dairy farming and dairy practice is a very interesting practice. It's I would say it's a young practice in Nigeria, and I'm very happy and lucky to be within the sector. And I think it's not supposed to be an isolated sector like it has been over the years. Sorry, I think I shared another document. This was the first preview. If we can share the second one, it's more tech inclined. Yeah, I think this is it. Okay, thank you very much, Vivian. First of all, I want to apologize to everyone for the heat that we had. I was using my office system. I didn't know it had so many security stuff, and typical of Apple systems, they ask too many questions, so we had to revert to the original normal mobile phone device. So Vivian, you'll be helping us go through the slides. I have the document here, so I won't wait. So let's quickly look at the overview and facts and the opportunities that ply in the dairy industry. First of all, what's dairy? Dairy simply means milk. That's what it is. Dairy is all about milk, and then the value chain that comes with milk. Milk is a very complete food. It contains a lot of all the necessary vitamins and minerals and all the nutrients that is needed to sustain life. That's the reason why some people, like in humans, when babies are born, that's what they call baby friendly. They can go on milk strictly for 6 straight months and they are alive, healthy, and very okay. So milk is a very precious substance. It's a gift from God. And some people call it the white gold. Just like they call crude oil the black gold, milk is the white gold. And that is the reason why it's a billion or trillion dollar industry all over the world. And over here in Nigeria, the industry has been lying unharnessed. And it's the reason why we are going to have this talk and we're going to interact. So I'll be sharing some information. So some facts about the dairy industry in Nigeria. Nigeria imports about $5 billion worth of food annually. And within this $5 billion worth of food, $1.5 billion accounts for dairy products. That's milk and dairy products. The market demand for milk in Nigeria is estimated at 1.6 billion liters per annum. That's every year Nigerians consume an estimated 1.6 billion liters of milk. And out of this milk that is produced, that we consume, only 40% is produced locally in the country. Only 40% that is produced locally in this country, and this accounts for about 640 million liters produced in the country. So we have a deficit production of 60 liters, which is an estimated 960 million liters. So, and it is this 960 million liters that amounts to about $1.5 billion USD. And if we convert it with the current Nigerian exchange rate, that's about 2.4 trillion naira. 2.4 trillion naira that we are exporting every year. So when you look at this is a huge gap and it's a huge opportunity for business, for people to key into. It can't even be exhausted. So we further go to see that the milk consumption per capita in Nigeria is 8 liters per annum. And the global average, hello, are we together?
Yes.
Yes. The global average milk consumption per capita is 44 liters per annum, which is what is recommended, by nutritionists all over the world. But we are doing only 8 liters. This means if we are going to match up with the 44 liters, which is the average, global average, it means there's going to be more demand for milk. And that's like 5 times more than what we're talking about. And so if we cannot produce that 5 times more, we have to still import it. And that would be $1.5 billion times 5. That would be $7.5 billion. That's a huge market. So what this is saying is we need more people to key into the dairy sector so that we can make this money and we can also feed our people and we can fight malnutrition in this country. And that is why we are called for this mission. So a continuation of the overview and facts and also opportunities in the Nigerian dairy industry. From the statistics that we have, Nigeria has the 5th largest cattle population in Africa, which is an estimated 20 million cattle heads. And the only countries that have more cattle than Nigeria in Africa is Ethiopia, Sudan, Chad, and Tanzania. I don't have the figures, but we can look them up. So if Nigeria has 20 million cattle head to serve over 200 million people, that is grossly inadequate. And out of these 20 million, it is not all of them that is producing milk. majority is for meat. The milk production is very low. And then we'll get to find out that the cattle population is concentrated in just one part of the country, which is the north. Like majority of the cattle is found in the north, and we have huge markets in the south. So you see that there is a deficit. It means more cattle has to be reared down south. And if you look at the climate and the vegetation of the country, you discover that we have more vegetation in the south due to the climate, rainfalls, and all of that, than in the north where we have these animals. And that is the reason why we have animals, we have those nomads coming down to the south. And you know what happens whenever they come down to the south. During dry seasons, they come down to the south to look for pasture. And then the people who have pasture don't have animals. That's an anomaly that we need to fix in this country. So 99% of the cattle are indigenous breeds. What are these indigenous breeds? We have the white Fulani, the Naji, we have the Sokoto Gudalis, we have the Adamawa Gudalis, we have our Moturus, and these breeds are chiefly meat producers. They are not very prolific milk producers. So we need so many animals to be able to get a large amount of milk to be produced. Unlike some of the exotic breeds that one cow can give you 20, 30, 40 liters. It means if you want to go with these local breeds, whose production is quite low, between 1 to 3 liters a day, and if they are boosted, maybe their feeding regimen is very rich with concentrates and the rest, they can give you 5, and then some very prolific ones like Gudalis can give you up to 7 liters a day. But that's the much that they can do. So for the exotic breeds, you have an exotic breed giving you 7 liters a day, you cut the head off, it's useless. So that's so much about our local breeds. So, and again, one of the facts we have is that the pastoralists, these are the Fulani herdsmen, they make up for about 95% of the local milk production in Nigeria. Commercial dairy farms like Ikun Dairy Farm, like L&Z and the others just make up about 5% of the milk produced in this country. So, like I earlier mentioned, the milk from local breed is between 1 to 3 liters a day, which is grossly inadequate. But the exotic breeds can give us from 20 to 30 or 40 liters a day, which is what we want to achieve even with our local breeds. So, are we together?
Yes.
All right. So the big question now is, when you look at the kind of investment that goes into commercial dairy farming, and you look at the price of milk in the country, you are tempted to ask if dairy production is profitable with that kind of system. But according to a study conducted in Bowen University this year, in 2024, I'm sorry, I didn't include the name of the researchers, but upon request, I would provide it. It was found out that dairy investment is highly profitable. As a matter of fact, it produces 80% return on investment. So if you invest 1 naira in dairy, you're getting 1 naira 80 kobo. That's almost doubling your money. So dairy business is almost, you can refer to it as a money doubler. So if you invest 1 million naira in dairy, it can be production of the milk, it can be processing of the milk. It's a vast value chain. So dairy as a whole, it's not just about milk production. The processing, transportation, storage, and it's a whole lot of it. So it has shown that dairy production and farming is very, very, very profitable and gives you about 80% return on investment if things are done right. If, very important to note, if things are done right. So the dairy value chain that we have from the value chain, if you choose to be a producer of feed for cows, you already have a market. You've already carved a niche for yourself. which is very, very important because not everybody has land for grazing, and not every dairy farmer has enough land to even farm their own forages, their own crops to feed their animals. So they'll be looking forward to buy this feed from people who can produce it. And if you go into milk production as a farmer yourself, you sell this milk or you process them, it's still a huge market. There are some people who are into the logistics and transportation of milk. Like in my farm, we have a truck that comes in here every 2 weeks. Every 2-3 days to pick milk. It's a contractor's truck. The processing company hires this truck, equips it, and pay the owner to transport milk for them. So they just come pick milk, go empty it at the company, and the owner of the truck gets his money. So this is a leverage for other companies too, because if you are a dairy processor or a dairy company that processes milk, your money is going into the milk and other things that you need. You can carry, say, 50 million, 100 million to buy a big truck. That's going to eat into your capital a lot. So you let some other people key into that business of transportation and logistics. It's another aspect. So milk processing products such as yogurt, milk, cheese, and butter, we already know that the likes of this Cowbell and the rest of them, they are into processing of milk, into yogurt, into cheese, and other stuff. That's the value chain. There are other people who are into packaging. Packaging could be in plastic containers, or packaging could be in tin. We all know our milk are usually in tin or plastics, or like our Hollandia yogurt is in some kind of paper board kind of stuff. It is not the company that processes these packaging materials. There's a company that will process those packaging materials. It's also a value chain. It's another area people can go into and make money. Distribution, just like a lot of us who are vets are distributors of chicken feed, maybe top feed, hybrid chicken, and the rest of them. We're not the one producing it, but we are distributors. So we also have people who are distributors of dairy product. It is part of the value. And then we have retail stores. The retail stores will wait for the and the distributor to bring it, and then you can sell to the final consumers. And at the consumer stage too is part of which people are making money from that point. Even the consumers, like bakers, people who are into pastries and confectionaries, they buy this milk from the final retailers, and then they put it into another product they are making, like their cakes, their donuts. In fact, recently we have Mookie donuts that was raining. It's just milk that added it. If donut is 500 naira and you spray small milk on top, it becomes 1,000 naira. You can see that's value addition, and that's the magic of dairy. So, am I moving too fast? Hello? Hello, are we together? Hello?
Yes, we are following you.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know if we're together or if I need to slow down or... All right. So let's continue. So we have challenges in the dairy sector. Some of the challenges in the dairy sector, which is one of the reasons why people are not going into it, we have the issue of seasonal feed shortages. Like for pastoralists, they depend solely on grazing. And it gets to a time during the seasons that there is no longer grass in the north. They have to start trekking down south, and in the process, they lose a lot of animals exposed to diseases. They get involved with farmers, herders, clashes. A lot of things happen, and it affects the entire dairy, chain. So, and as you know, urbanization, expanding of towns and cities, and also an increase in population, that's population explosion of people, we still need land to carry out other activities. The towns are developing, people need to farm to eat, there's decreased land for grazing, and there's decreased land to grow forages even. That's a huge challenge. So now we need land for planting our food as humans and planting the food and grasses for animals. The constraint is a problem. So the cost and varying quality of commercial concentrate feeds. With all the feed processing companies around, you discover that these feeds are usually very expensive because the grains used in those producing those concentrates are not cheap at all. They're very, very expensive. Maize, a bag of maize, a 50 kg bag of maize now, it's like gold. So it's very, very expensive. Even chicken feed has skyrocketed from 5,000 that we used to know to about 20 something thousand naira, 25 kg bag of chicken feed. And so we have it in livestock. So the poor genetic potential of our local breeds. I earlier mentioned that our local breeds produce 1 to 3 liters of milk normally on a daily basis, and with all the boosting with concentrates and the rest, you can hardly get 5 liters and at most 7. So it's an aspect of poor genetic potential. And then another problem we have is leadership, which is the inconsistent government policies in Nigeria. Just recently, we had the National Dairy Policy. We're still waiting for it to kickstart. And recently, we had the Ministry of Livestock Development set up by this government. We've not had it before. We are waiting to see the impact of it. We do hope that other governments will not come and then scrap everything, and then that's the inconsistent policies we're talking about. And then the very big one, insecurity. Insecurity here, both in form of herders, farmers clashes, kidnappings, and every other vice, banditry, rustling of cattle and all of that, all of this affect the dairy value chain very badly. So having said all of this, having known the opportunities in the dairy sector, and having seen some of the challenges that we have, we will delve into the dairy farm management proper, but we're not going to be, emphasizing too much on the aspects of the dairy farm management because they are individual aspects of their own that we would discuss more extensively in the future, but we're going to do a highlight of it. So for a dairy farmer or anyone who is planning to go into dairy farming and production, some of the things you need to consider. The first thing you need to consider, even before thinking of bringing the animal or buying the animals, is your feeding plan. Your feeding plan, feeding management. How do you intend to feed these animals when they arrive eventually? Because they must eat, and they must eat on a daily basis. You are not rationing it. You are not telling them what to do. They must eat, otherwise they die. So not enough to say, I want to bring a Holstein, I want to bring a Jessica, I want to bring this. What's your feeding plan? You need to know how much land, if it is grazing, if your feeding plan is grazing, how much land these animals need to graze. Are you grazing on the personal land? Are you grazing in open field, open grazing, which might be some kind of trespassing on people's lands? What is the plan? It has to be solid, it has to be definite, and it has to be profitable and sustainable as well. So that is number one. So as a good farmer, for modern practices, we advocate that you either have a plan to purchase the feed from out there when you don't have land for grazing, or you go into what we refer to as community backward integration. If you do not have lands to farm and maybe you have the resources to farm, you can collaborate with local farmers, help them with input to produce what you want them to produce, like maize, soybeans, and the rest of them. And at the end of the day, you create a ready market for them. So you collect all of this. It's as good as you planting your own feed for your animals. So you already have a source. You are like you are an off taker. You get all of this, and then you produce your silage and feed ration for your animals, and you don't have to go about trespassing into people's lands for those who have the resources. For those who do not have the resources, they need to come up with a solid plan, grazing plan, purchasing of all those feed components and formulate them themselves. Otherwise, you have no business going into dairy production. Next thing to consider is the breeding and fertility management. Breeding and fertility management begins from selection of your parent stock. Selection of your parent stock. Are you going with the local breeds, or are you going with foreign breeds, or do you want to improve by doing cross breeding? So when you look at that, you consider what you want to buy. For instance, if you say you want to go with you want to crossbreed the foreign breed and the local breed, the Fulani white cow produces about 3 liters. The Holstein gives you about 20, 30, 40 liters. How do you get it? Are you getting the sire as a bull, or are you doing artificial insemination where you get Holstein semen and cross with the Fulani white or Gudali, as the case may be? And while doing that, you need to be careful so you don't cross an animal that the dam cannot calve successfully, because the Holsteins and some other breeds, the Jerseys, can be very big. So maybe you're doing a Fulani white cow with a Holstein semen, and then there's the Tukia, the cow cannot calve. So if you want to do locally, I would advise personally that you get Gudalis, who are also very big, and cross with Holsteins or Jerseys, so you can have improved breeds. And over time, as you continue to cross, you get purer breeds, as the case may be. So the breeding and fertility management is important. Another very important aspect is the heat detection. Without detecting heat, you don't know when to breed, except you just put them with the bulls and the bulls just mount indiscriminately. But if you intend to do AI, you need to come up with a good heat detection plan. You have to be very vigilant. You need to see when the cow is on heat and detect and be sure, so that you inseminate them timely and not lose the ovulation, So when that is done, you have to manage the cow very well. Ensure you confirm them pregnant. If you're doing rectal palpation, I think between 60 days, you should be good. If you're good with rectal palpation at 40 to 60 days, you should confirm them pregnant. Otherwise, we have ultrasound scanning machines. There's one called the Draminsky ultrasound scanning machine. You can use that and detect as early as 1 month or even 3 weeks pregnancy. It's very, very important that you know the animals that are pregnant, so you can separate them and treat them as such. The next is your housing management. The housing management is very important. How do you intend to house these animals? People keep the animals outside in open fields. It all depends on what they can afford and what is feasible at the moment. But you need to come up with a good housing plan. It could be a barn, a sophisticated barn. Some barns are so sophisticated with fans, temperature regulators within, climate regulators, and all what we see in Poland and the rest of them, and what we have in Ikon here too. So housing is important, and of course the animals are going to pass their manure. So how do you manage the manure? Do you just push it out, or let them lie on it, which can cause a lot of problems, mastitis and the rest of them? Manure management is very, very important. That is a sanitation aspect. These are all farm management and things that you must put into consideration for proper farm management. Next is hygienic milk production, the storage, transportation, and marketing as well. The whole aim of dairy is to produce milk. So, and when you're producing the milk, for everything, all the work you have done, you must not contaminate it at the end, because that's a waste of effort. If you contaminate the milk, you've wasted every effort you've put from day one. So milk production has to be very hygienic, collecting it If you're doing hand milking, like our pastoralists do, you need to wash your hands properly, disinfect it, and then clean the teeth very well, disinfect the teeth as well, and then collect in clean containers, and then cover them and store them within the cold chain. So the storage, we have milk cans, that are coolant, that have cooling effects, to preserve temperature. Normally, milk should be stored, if it's going to be stored for a long time, within 4 degrees Celsius. As soon as the milk is collected, it has to be cooled down to 4 degrees Celsius. But most of these pastoralists and some companies that are operators, they have milk collection centers. So as soon as the milk is collected that morning, they have logistics that will come collect the milk, take them to their storage facilities and put them within the cold chain. So milk must be properly stored, collected hygienically, and stored within 4 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, it's going to go bad. And to add to that, is the most perishable item you can think of in the world. Milk is the most perishable thing, most perishable food you can think of in the world. So as soon as it is collected, it has to be handled properly. If it's not going to be kept within the cold chain, it has to be pasteurized immediately so it can preserve the shelf life pending when the collectors can come take it. Transportation, I earlier talked about that. The marketing also has to do with the value chain. Forage production management. What is forage? Forage are crops we produce in order to feed these animals. Could be maize, could be barley, oat, could be soybeans, but you have to produce them on some highly nutritious grasses like napier grass, like alfalfa. A lot of them. These are forages that we produce mainly for the production for the feeding of animals. We produce silage with them. And then the last but not the least, which is the management of the young stock. The young stock are basically calves and young heifers. These make up the future of the farm by the time the old cows have phased out. So you need to make sure that you put a lot of health management plan and other things to preserve the young stock and not lose them eventually. So so far, do we have people who want to ask questions, or we should fire on? Hello.
Yeah, so I think we should round off there. We can take questions together.
Okay. All right. So yes. We've been talking, and all what we have said is more or less like advices we are taking. So we are going to go into the main business for today, which is the best practices to ensure profitability and sustainability in dairy farming. I didn't want to bog us with day-to-day activities on the farm because they are not the main issue. Here we're talking about sustainability and profitability. So if we want to be profitable in this dairy practice, first of all, we need to look at the animals that are productive. Selection is very, very important. The pedigree of these animals is very important, and that is why you need to know these animals individually, get good individual identification, analysis, and you know your best milkers, you know your best animals, and then you keep them. So we say keep only productive cows and always ensure that at least 60 to 70% of the herd are lactating yearly, and also ensure that at least 80% of dry cows are pregnant. What are dry cows? In dairy practice, we milk a cow for 10 months, and then we dry her for 2 months. That's in a calendar year of 12 months. You're expected that a good cow should give you milk for 10 months. And they can actually give you milk beyond that period, but there will be fatigue, and it's going to tell hard, and it's not good for that cow. And only a non-pregnant cow would continue to milk like that. It's expected that when a cow calves, or let's say when a cow calves for the first time, when a heifer calves for the first time, she should get pregnant again within 2 to 3 months. Otherwise, she cannot give you a calf that year again. We have 12 months in a year, and a cow carries her gestation for 9 months, which is about 283 days. So a cow that calves today, in the next 2 months, should get pregnant, or in the next 3 months at most, she should get pregnant. But if she doesn't, 4 months is the maximum. Otherwise, you're already losing. In terms of financial analysis, that one cow, you're going to lose from that one cow. It's going to tell. So if your cow gets pregnant the second month after calving or the third month after calving, you're good to go. She's a good cow. She's going to give you a calf, or if she's a twinner, she gives you a twin calf. We hope it's not a male and female, so we don't have free mating. So the idea is good cows are cows that calve every year and give you and are in milking constantly. So after calving, get pregnant in 2-3 months. You milk them within that pregnancy. At their 7th month, after being confirmed pregnant, you dry them off. Whether they are producing milk properly, you take them out of the milking herd, and then the process of drying involves administering medications intramammary, which will dry off the udder, and they will stop milking and they will rest. That period, they will rest. You're preparing them for the next milking, and you're also preparing them for calving, because in 2 months' time, they're going to calve, and you need them to produce colostrum when they calve. So if you continue to milk them until the day that they calve, there will be no colostrum, there will be too much stress, and in fact, the cow may even die. You might have a preterm labor. So that is one of the process to manage cows, to give you best milk. And a cow will give you her best production in her 3rd or 4th calving. After the first calving, the second calving is usually better, the 3rd is at the best, the 4th one is also at the best. From the 5th year, 6th year down, their production capacity begins to drop. So you have to ensure that 60 to 70% are lactating every year. So that means if you have 100 cows, you need to have at least 60 cows in milking, and then the rest are pregnant, or you are calling off some of them that are not giving you milk. So number 2, you ensure you use the breeds that are adaptable to your farm environment and climate. Genetics determines about 35% of milk production. So in as much as we say our local breeds are not good milkers, they are very adaptable to our environment. And going by the economics of your farming, your system that you adopt, you would find out that even if you're using the local breeds, with the amount of animals you have and the products and the volume they produce, vis-a-vis the input, what they eat and all the other costs, you can still make very good profits from the local breeds. So what I'm trying to say is, you have a cow that is giving you 3 liters, and if 3 liters of milk is selling for about 1,500 naira, and that cow is eating just 500 naira every day, you're making good profit. So you can have an exotic breed that is giving you 20 liters every day, and if 20 liters is giving you 20 times 500 naira, that's how much? Is that 10,000? 10,000 naira. If that cow is eating more than 10,000 naira a day, or about 5, 6, 7,000, the profitability index is not as good as the one that is giving you 3 times what she's eating. So the other one can give you profit too, but maybe 2 times what she's eating. But if you do the mathematics, you discover that a Holstein would eat almost half of what she's giving you, whereas a Fulani cow would eat a third of what she's giving you. So you look at it, The Holstein is giving you more volume, but Fulani is giving you more index, more profitability index, So that is another angle to look at it. So the third practice is always call all non-productive cows. This is also emphasizing on the number one. Non-productive cows are cows that have chronic or persistent mastitis. Mastitis is the biggest problem in any dairy farm, anywhere, because it's a disease of the udder. It makes the milk useless. If it affects only 1/4, lucky you, the other 3/4 are still producing because they produce independently. But if you continue to treat that 1/4 and over time it is still it's not going good, you can dry off that problem. There's what we call a dry cow therapy. It's a medication. You just infuse it. It's an intramammary infusion. You dry off that quarter, and then the other 3/4 are good to go. But if you have 2/4 affected, it means half of the production of that cow is gone. If you do an analysis of what the other 2 teats are producing, most likely it's not going to give you a profitable result. Such cows need to be called out. They should be sent to the abattoir. And so some cows go as bad as getting only 1 teat. 3 teats are gone. So there's no point keeping such cows. Now, cows that are also in their 6th to 7th lactation cycle, that is to say they've calved 6 times. So a cow that has given you 6 calves or has calved 6 times, maybe sometimes, some of those times, they gave you twins. Such a cow, she deserves a Hall of Fame. You need to graduate her very quickly to also go and rest, because she won't give you what she used to give before. So, and when you're trying to call animals, you don't just push them out, except maybe they are sick and you fear they will die. You push them into the dry cow head and feed them well so they can get more weight. So by the time you're selling them off as meat, you're making good money. So when you keep your cows, you group them into the best milkers, those that are producing. If you have cows that are giving you 40 liters, 30 to 40 liters, group them. You have those that are giving you 20 to 25 to 30, you group them. You have those that are giving you, say, maybe 15, 18 to 20 liters, you group them separately and you feed them separately. The reason is this: the genetic potential of a cow that's giving you 20 liters is less likely going to change. So even if you give her what the one that is giving you 40 liters is eating, she will still give you 20 liters. So it's best you give that one giving you 40 liters the best food. So it's just like you give if you have a sibling who is short and you think you give them plenty food to grow tall, they will never grow tall. So that's the same thing with cows. The one giving you 20 liters that have genetic potential, you give her the food that is also supportive of that. So you give the others the best food. The best milkers get the best food. The medium ones get the medium quality. And then the ones that have refused to give you the best, you take out whatever is a milk booster there, because no matter how you boost, it's not going to help them put on the best they can produce with. So continuation of it is feed concentrate based on cow performance. I think that's a seconding of number 4. The concentrates are very expensive. They are the milk boosters. So you want to give your best cow the best concentrate. And another group can even go without concentrates. They should just go with the forages, silages, and grasses. They are good. So grow and feed quality forage for silage making. If you are keeping dairy cows, it's less likely for you to make profits with just grazing, except that grazing is of high quality grasses. There are some grasses that you plant, the Napier grass, the super Napier grass, those alfalfa, those are high legumes. Of course, you can make do with this one. But all these are elephant grass, normal tridax, and the rest of them. If they go out there and graze, they should come back home and eat good good food. Just supplement it a little bit if it's a local breed. If it's the exotic breed, they are going to eat more of the forage. So you need to produce silage from what I said before. Collect forage, chop them into small pieces, produce the silage, store those feed, serve them a long period. Like what you see, the photograph of the truck you see in the background there, that's a harvest ongoing. That's harvest of forage ongoing. That harvester is stretching it into smaller particles, and those particles will go into the silage where they will cover it, seal it for anaerobic fermentation to take place. That's the process of silage production. So, enhance and utilize crop residues. What are these crop residues? Maybe you're farming, you're a farmer, you want to produce maize for your family consumption. When you remove the maize cob and get out the grain, or when you remove your soybeans, your groundnuts, your all of that, the remaining residues is they are good animal feed. They are very good animal feed. So some people just burn it after harvesting maize or millet or sorghum. You just burn the remaining stock. It's a waste. These are good animal feed. These are crop residues. Even cassava peels and other things, they are very good crop residues. So ensure head health plan. Head health. Head health plan is something you put in place. It's more like an SOP, a standard operating procedure to ensure that you protect your animals from disease outbreaks or from injury or any kind of issue. So this head health includes biosecurity. Before you come into a premises, it has to be, if your farm has a good security, strangers don't just walk into the farm, so they don't bring anything from out there. They need to pass through a biosecurity process, wash your hands, dip your feet, stay in a waiting area where whatever business has brought you would be transacted, not just to come in and gallivant. It's not a tourist attraction center. So vaccination, deworming, ectoparasite control, food dips. We all know the problems of viral diseases, worms and ectoparasites, the likes of babesia, the likes of filaria, Ehrlichia, caldrosis. These are tick-borne diseases from ectoparasites. So it's very important that we institute very good ectoparasite control via spraying or dipping. Spraying or dipping with ectoparasite acaricides, good acaricides like amitraz and the rest of them. Food dips. Food dips is also a very important aspect. You can use formalin, you can use chlorine, you can use iodine. You need to make sure that, especially in wet seasons, for cows that walk within wet areas, and because they always stand within their manure, there's tendency for foot rot to develop, pododermatitis. So you need to constantly, disinfect their food. And it's good that maybe within the cow walkway, while they walk to the milk parlor or wherever they always walk through, you can create a foot bath area there, like a depression where you put that disinfectant inside and make them walk through it for every time they pass through that space. It helps a lot and prevent this thing, because lameness, after mastitis, lameness is the second biggest problem. And sometimes lameness can be the biggest problem, because if a cow is lame, she can't go to the food, she can't eat, she can't go out to graze, she can't do anything, she's not happy, and eventually she can starve and die. So it's not nice to have foot injuries in cows, and it's very painful because they are very heavy animals. Their weight, rests on their foot and their digits. So once there's an injury on the leg, there's a big problem in a cow. So another one is a conservative practice. If you need to use heavy duty equipment like the one in the picture, you need to consider the size of your farm. What is it giving you? Some of these equipments are even more expensive than the entire farm. You take 400 million to buy a John Deere tractor, and your farm, how many animals do you have? Say 100 cows. If you sell all your cows, how much will you get? So what's the point buying a John Deere tractor, 400 million? It doesn't make any sense. So if you have where you can, maybe an agricultural company or agricultural extension house where you can borrow this thing for 1 week, use it for 1 week. Because even if you buy it, the farming season is only once a year. Highest you spend one month planting, another 1-2 weeks harvesting, and then the tractor is just lying there, except you're using it to make money. Otherwise, it's not feasible, it's not a profitable venture. Before you make profit from that tractor, the tractor has broken down. Depreciation value every year, it doesn't make sense. So try to lease as much as you can. And if you must own, you can co-own. Maybe you can have a cluster of farmers who would join money and buy it so that they can be using it turn by turn and it serves them better. So the next one is to determine the cost of feed per liter of milk produced. I touched on this earlier. I said if a cow is giving you 3 liters of milk, for instance, and a liter of milk is 500 naira, I think it's about 1,000 naira now because of the cost of everything. And it also varies in different areas. So if a cow that is giving you 3 liters is consuming approximately 500 naira based on the little grasses they go around eating, she's giving you 3 times what she's eaten. And then a cow is giving you 10,000 naira and she's consuming 5,000 or 6,000 naira every day, giving you just a couple of what consuming. Get so bad that they're not even giving you up to what they are consuming. Such animals could be taken out of the farm immediately. So the next one is keep proper farm record. Feeding record, you need to know. Breeding, you need to know. Every animal, when last was she bred? When are you expecting her to calve? How many times has she calved? How old is she? Those are the indicators. You need to know which animal is giving you what on this farm, which one should remain on this farm, which one should go to the abattoir. So milk production every day per cow and the entire herd. The calving record, of course, how many calves have you had in a year? How many of the cows have calved? If you're supposed to have at least 70% of the cows getting pregnant, it means you need to have at least 70 cows out of 100 cows every year. If you don't meet those targets, you're already running on the deficit. So you need to improve. Now you need to have what we call an asset register. An asset register registers your entire worth, everything on the farm, from the land to the animals, to the equipment, to everything that the farm worth. It is that asset register that gives you the total worth of your farm. So that even when you want to get a financial facility from a financial organization, they say, okay, even if he defaults and we sell off all those things, we can get back our money and all of that. So it's very important. So very quickly, we're going to run through these KPIs. Those are the practices on the farm. And then those practices, what are the results you want to get when you do those things that we just talked about right now? An average milk production per cow per day. We've said this more than how many times? Local breed produces this, exotic produces that. If you're not meeting that, there's problem. There's always a pointer. If you're not meeting these figures, there is a huge problem. Feed conversion efficiency. This is another aspect that we need to be very careful about. You need to know this cow can be giving you milk, but she can give you much more if her feed conversion efficiency is better. And globally, the average is about 1.65 to 2. And how do you calculate it? The milk production in weight. Now, how do you know the milk production in weight? Normally milk production is in liters, but I believe we are all science oriented. Volume and weight go together when you put in consideration of density. So if we remember our physics, the formula for density is mass over volume. So the mass there is what you're going to get now. Now the density of milk is about 1.03 gram per deciliter or 1.03 kilogram per liter, as the case may be. So if you want to calculate in kilograms, 1.03 kilogram per liter times the volume. So if it is 1 liter, 1.03 times 1 you have 1.03 kg. If it is 2 liter, 1.03 times 2, we have 2.06 kg, as the case may be. So the only difference is that 0.03. So whatever liters you have is times 1.03, and you have it in weight. When you have that in weight, you divide it by the total dry matter intake of your animal. That's why it's good for you to measure and have the record of the food your animal is taking. And the dry matter intake of whatever you're feeding your animals should not be more than 3% of the total body weight of that animal. So what are we saying? If your animal weighs 100 kg, dry matter should be 3 kg. So if whatever the animal is producing for you, divide by that dry matter. If it is more than 2.0, it means the animal is eating more than it is producing. If it is less, the lesser the feed conversion efficiency, the higher the higher milk the animal produces. It's just like your machines, efficiency of machines and physics and all of that. If you are having high efficiency, it means the machine is doing too much work, is consuming too much fuel, is consuming too much power, is passing through too much wear and tear to give you that work. That's why you have fast cars and tuke motors. Some tuke motors, they consume more fuel and they can still not run on the road. The other ones with injectors and more little fuel consumption are flying like jets. Which one would you want? Of course, the one that conserves fuel and still moves faster. So that's it. Now, reproduction efficiency. This is also just like what we said. Every cow should give you one calf every year. And how is that possible? When a cow calves, the period from when she calves and the next time she gets pregnant is called the days open. Those days are like the open days. They are open, she's not pregnant, but we want her to get pregnant as fast as possible. Although we don't want her to get pregnant within the very first month of calving, because we need uterine involution, we need the cow to come out of the stress of calving, we need her to get back herself, the body tissues, the wear and tear. Some of them in the process of calving, they sustain a lot of injuries, especially in assisted calvings with very large fetuses. It can cause a lot of problems, ruptures even. So 1 month is enough for her to, get back herself. The second month, she should be gearing towards getting pregnant. And at most, the third month, she should get pregnant. And if worst case scenario, the 4th month. So days open should be a maximum of 120 days. And acceptable ones between 60, 80 days, fine. Now, calf mortality, just like mortality in every animal, production enterprise, we don't want to lose more than 5% of whatever we're producing, because the entire effort in a dairy farm, minus milk, the entire effort is geared towards producing a calf. It's geared towards producing a calf. So sometimes a cow that's not giving you milk, if you notice that she's a good breeder, you can actually keep her to breed calves. But unfortunately, the breeding efficiency and milk production efficiency are always, directly proportional to each other. So when you see a cow that is not giving you good milk, she's a wahala cow. She would hardly give you even a calf. Some of them are repeat breeders. You continue inseminating, they continue eating their babies, according to our Nigerian movies. They keep eating their babies, they don't get pregnant. Those cows, take them out. So calf mortality should not be more than 5% and a maximum of 10%, which is too much even. Now, heifer replacement rate. Heifer replacement rates. The heifers are the young females that in a few time, in no distant time, would become the mothers. For exotic breeds, at 12 months, you can breed them. For local breeds, sometimes it takes up to 2 years before you can breed them. So you have a heifer, in 12 months, a calf is born today, in 12 months time, she's ready to get pregnant. And at a maximum of 24 to 26 months, she's already giving you another calf. So in 2 years, you have 2 animals already. So you have animals that are giving you such you keep them. The heifer replacement should be at least 25%. So you mean, and that is also proportionate to the culling, because as you're removing low performers, you are replacing them with heifers, new ones that are just coming into the scene. It's just like add and delete, remove and replace. That's what we were talking about. Culling, sometimes we take at least 20% of the old stock, except all of them prove to be good, and then we replace with at least 25%. So whatever you're replacing should be more than what you have taken out, so that you don't have your numbers in the farm going down. We want to increase our stock, even as we're removing bad performers. We want the numbers to increase. So head health optimization is still part of the head health plan. You monitor for mastitis, lameness, metabolic disorders, and mortalities. How do you prevent these? Vaccinations, and some of the popular diseases we have that we vaccinate against is foot and mouth disease, CBPP, we know all of them, contagious bovine pleural pneumonia, HSV, hemorrhagic septicemia, vaccine, LSD, lumpy skin disease, very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And then Clostridium, the black potter, that black leg, and it comes in an 8-in-1 vaccine by Zoetis. I don't know if we have it in form, but that one is an 8-in-1, Clostridium, Chovy, and all the rest of them. It helps to protect. And then milk quality. You ensure that your milk quality, your milk is free from infection, is free from dirt, and it has all the nutritional requirements. The quality of milk is in the fat content. That's what makes milk more expensive. The fat content in milk is between 3.5 to 4%. So the higher the fat content, the more expensive the milk is in some parts of the country, in the parts of the world where they do analysis properly. And then we ensure that somatic cell counts should not go beyond 200,000 cells per mil. This is a microbiology stuff, because if there is more than 200,000 cells per mil, it means there's an infection ongoing, and it means that milk is mastitic. And then they will say your milk has failed. So if you are a milk producer, you should have a lab by the side, so that you test your own milk before you even give it out, because it's very embarrassing when your milk goes to a professional processor and they say your milk failed. It's not very good. So milk price, this one varies in different parts of the country. Last week, I was speaking with somebody in Abuja. He said a liter of milk is about 1,000 plus. And some parts of the country, they are still doing 500, 700, 800, as the case may be. So you need to have competitive pricing so that you can be in the market. Feed cost per cow, I think we've emphasized this over and over. Then the financial performance. This one is very broad. You will need accountants on the farm to be able to do all this financial analysis for you. Depreciation value, this, that is far more than just feed cost, input and output. It has to do with labor cost. It has to do with the water, utilities, and all those things. Your machinery, wear and tear, diesel cost, electricity cost, energy efficiency, even climate, or what they call it, environmental impact assessment, because the regulatory bodies will come around, and all of these things, they tell on your finances, so you need to have a very broad financial evaluation to know where you're standing, if you're making profit or not. So with this, I think we are done with today's lecture, and if we go with this requirements, we are bound to fly high and make good profits and have a sustainable dairy farming if we choose to go into. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. Good evening.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Dave. That was so elaborate and so informative. Thank you so much. I've been trying to request for questions on the group. I don't think we have, because you ensure that you explained each point so well. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben. But I will still permit for questions. from our participants before we completely round off. Questions from participants, please just raise up your hand and I'll call you to ask your question. Or you can just type in your question if you have any. But the material is going to be available for every one of us. We have your mail, so we'll forward the slides to your mail. Any question, please?
No question.
I have one question. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have a question. Considering the status of livestock farming, as you have explained to us today, and the reality of what we are having in our country, Nigeria, where we have, of course, majority of the livestock being, will I say managed now, or being bred in the northern part of the country compared to the southern part. How do we relate costing, and prices? Because do we have the same market stability in the north as in the south, or for a more market profitability, we need to have a niche in the northern part of the country?
Very good. Your question is very, very good. And I like it because it is coming directly to where the money is. In all of what we have said today, it is about making money, making profit. Now, the price of milk is not constant anywhere. Everywhere. That's why you can see on it's the number 8 point on this key performance indicators, milk price. Competitive pricing means it can be this, it can be that. The best price is the most competitive. Now, there is it is said that you should monitor national and regional averages. I just told you that I called someone last week in Abuja to inquire how much is the cost of 1 liter of milk from their farm, and he told me that they are now selling about 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,200, depending on the vendor that comes and the volume that the vendor wants to pick. So, and this is something that has been between 300, 400, 500 as of last year, and even this year, because of the reluctance of buyers. A lot of people just import milk. They don't care about the ones being produced locally. They just have that mentality that the milk locally will not give them the quality of what they want, which is not true. So sometimes the pastoralists get to sell at giveaway prices. But the good thing now is we have cluster systems where companies now have decided to, look inward for solutions rather than import milk. You're bringing in milk, it's very expensive, and you look inward, you say, okay, you have this pastoralist, we can get milk collection centers. It's a very important thing. I think we should take note of that. Milk collection centers. If we have milk collection centers, the pastoralist will not want to go and graze far away from that milk collection center. And when we have that, we can help to develop certain areas. That's what they call the ruga, or the grazing colonies or so. So we have a group of pastoralists, say maybe 100, 150 around one area. They don't graze beyond a certain circumference because they know every day they need to collect their milk and come and give. They too, they need money. So if a Fulani man has 20 cows, he's getting 3 liters from each. He's short of getting 60 liters every day, and there is a company that is ready to take these 60 liters every day, and 60 times 500 naira per liter. That's about, is this 3,000 naira? He doesn't go to the office. He just gets 3K every day. It's something. If it is 1,000 naira, is it 3K? 30K. See me,
30K,
I'm saying
30,000.
That's 30,000 naira every day. I don't think many of us vets make that money. You're getting 30K every day by taking your cows to go and eat free grass, bring them back, collect the milk every morning and give to a company that's an off-taker, and they pay you on the spot. A lot of companies are doing that now. And I think if we can key into these areas, we must not be farmers by ourselves. If you can go into a value chain of, say, milk processing and get a cluster of these farmers and collect milk from them every day, you guarantee them a market, you are in money, they are happy to. So just imagine, with 20 cows, somebody is getting 30K every day. 30K times 30 days, that's 900K every month. How many of us they earn that salary? So there's a lot in this thing, but until we go in, we will not know. We will not know the secret of it. And this is with Fulani cows I just told you now, 3 liters. So imagine you have a cow that is giving you 20 liters. You have 5 of such cows giving you 20 liters, 100 liters every day. You have a company that's giving you 100K every day to take your 100 liters. Come on. So let's think about it and see how we can help ourselves.
Wow. Thank you very much for that insight, Doc. Thank you so much for that insight. I think we need to continue this conversation on our Vet Connect Vet platform because there's a lot to break down. There's a lot of questions, a lot of explanations, and I think it would be more. We should just continue on the WhatsApp platform because I'm penning more and more questions down, but we do not want to, stay too long here on the Zoom platform. Thank God we already have a platform where we can continue this conversation. While you were speaking, we had our CEO joined us, Dr. Shedrack Akwem. He's the CEO of Vet Connect, and I would humbly ask him to, appreciate our speaker for us and say 1 or 2 words before we round off. Dr. Shedrack, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Abiodun. Thank you so much, Dr. Ben Makuvi.
It's
always a pleasure to listen to you. I would say that your images and the stories you share, both on your LinkedIn and on Facebook, have really, really given me cause to think even more about the dairy sector. And I agree with you that, there's a lot to be tapped from there in addressing the enormous challenges around poverty. Thank you so much for the knowledge you shared. I'm sure that even beyond now, this content will be put out so that more persons will be able to tap into it and learn from all that you shared with us this evening. So thank you so much for answering our call, even though it came on short notice. I want to request that when we call again, you would please do well to honor us. So thank you so much. Thank you to the team for putting it together. Thank you, dear colleagues, for also being able to join. And we look forward to the next learning series that I'm sure it's on the way. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity also to share my idea with everybody, and I look forward to doing more.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Ben. Thank you, my boss, Dr. Shedrack. Thank you, Dr. Ben. Just like Dr. Shedrack mentioned, we would still love to call you again because I think it's a lot. The topic encompasses a lot that we need to break down so we can itemize them and discuss them one after the other. So definitely we'll be reaching out to you again very soon. Thank you so much for coming. We started with Vet Connect. We went with Vet Connect. I already mentioned earlier where we started. Vet Connect is a digital platform that connects veterinarians to clients, to vets, to the whole wide world. So it's a platform where we are supposed to benefit from as veterinarians. I want to encourage us to sign up. Go to the website www.vetconnect.com, sign up, and enjoy the beautiful things that we've put there for you. Not to waste much time, we'll continue on the WhatsApp platform. Once again, thank you so much for joining, and do have a wonderful weekend.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.